Hey everybody, it's Kennedy Hawk from the MCM team. Today we're going to talk through a deck tech video, a really quick deck tech video where I go over a deck that I've been playing with Star-Lord with some new cards from the Next Evolution campaign box. I'll put two gameplay videos in, and then we'll talk about how you can use this combo with other heroes and Marvel Champions. So let's get through this deck that's all about digging deep. One of my favorite new cards. All right, so the combo overview. What we're trying to do here is really set up explosive turns with Star-Lord because he likes encounter cards. So this deck uses cards up through Next Evolution. It may be even better if you include cards from Angel and Psylocke. I haven't looked yet because they come in the mail today. But I'm super excited to try it out with future cards. So we're going to be really focusing on this card, Digging Deep and White Fox. So I thought we'd talk about what they do. Digging Deep is a resource that provides one wild resource that says after this card is discarded from the top of your deck, add it to your hand. So you want to find ways to discard that from the top of your deck. White Fox is a 3-cost 1/1/3 ally with the Posse trait. With the response, after White Fox is discarded from the top of your deck, put her into play under your control. So if you can find a way to discard all 4 of these cards from your deck in one turn, you're going to gain 3 resources and an ally. And in Star-Lord, that's going to be a Guardian's ally, which is also pretty important. So there's a couple ways you can do that, and the main one is this leadership event, Call for Aid. It's a 0-cost event that's a hero action. Discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an Avenger ally, then add that ally to your hand. And the trick we're going to use here is we are not going to include any Avenger allies in our deck. That way, every time we play Call for Aid, we discard our entire deck into our discard pile, potentially adding lots of Digging Deeps and a White Fox into play. Now I say potentially because if those cards were already in your discard pile, you're not going to gain that benefit from Call for Aid. You are still going to reset your deck, so that gets your discard pile back into your deck, which can be fun with other heroes. And that additionally will give you an encounter card, which Star-Lord likes. So really cool combo. Let's go through the deck list and some of the key cards in there. So here's the deck list. You can see we've got 7 allies, 19 events, 1 player side scheme, 3 resources, 2 supports, and 8 upgrades. And there's a lot of key cards in this deck that are going to help you out, like Gamora, right? She can discard cards off the top of your deck, pushing you to a deck cycle faster if you ever get stuck needing that. Same with Ironheart and Nick Fury, being able to like really just push through your deck. Caliban is almost going to have the exact same text as Call for Aid, but with a body. And Caliban costs 3, which Star-Lord likes. He likes things in packages of 3 Digging Deeps, a Caliban. So you can use your What Could Go Wrong ability to play Caliban, giving yourself an encounter card to play Caliban for free. After Caliban enters play, you're going to discard from the top of your deck, looking for X-Factor, X-Force, or X-Men. And again, if you include none, that means you're going to potentially find 3 Digging Deeps and another ally, White Fox. So Caliban is really, really strong. And just like you're going to want to manage where those Digging Deeps are and where they end up, you're going to want to know where Caliban is in your deck as well. So you can use tricks like The Last Stand to pump Caliban up to 5 attack, or maybe even 7 if you use Blaze of Glory, and get him back in your discard pile so that he keeps getting shuffled into your deck and you can use him over and over and over again. You can even time that well with White Fox, because that's another ally that you're going to want to keep track of where they are so that they're in your deck at the right time when you're trying to mill the whole deck. Because even though you have Caliban and 3 copies of Call for Aid, you can always use them as a resource. So if you're not set up, if those cards aren't back in your deck and you're not ready to receive an encounter card and reset your deck, you can use them as a resource to play some upgrades and do some board setup. Speaking of some board setup, one of the things you're going to want to find as quickly as you can is Star-Lord's helmet. You're going to be dealing yourself a lot of encounter cards. A lot of times with Star-Lord, it's not uncommon to begin the villain phase with 1 to 2 encounter cards. With this deck, especially in multiplayer, once I'm like set up and running, I often don't see less than 3 encounter cards in front of me at the beginning of a villain phase. And having a hand size of 8 is really helpful for dealing with that. So if you do get the chance to get superpower training, awesome card. What you're going to want to probably grab is Star-Lord's helmet. Now, if you're in trouble and you need Star-Lord's boots or, Leader of the Guardians to do some thwarting, those are also some great things you could use. But in general, I've been using Star-Lord's helmet to set up this trigger. And then one of the other important cards I thought we could talk about is you've got other combos in here too. You're not just about setting up ginormous sliding shots with a bunch of encounter cards in front of you, right? Sliding shot is 3 costs to do 5 damage, +2 per encounter card in front of you, so a lot of times that's hitting for 11 to 13 in this deck. We've also got 3 copies of Adrenaline Rush and Daring Escape. Adrenaline Rush can help us thin our deck so that we're seeing our resources and our combo cards more frequently, but if you luck into 1 to 2 Daring Escapes, or if you're using Assess the Situation and Star-Lord's Helmet and have some ridiculous hand size like 11, it's never happened before, you might be able to pow really hard, really fast using Adrenaline Rush and Blaze of Glory. Super, super fun. So some tips and tricks before we get into our gameplay videos with this game. I'm going to offer 3 tips and tricks in our new deck tech videos. Don't be afraid to pop to Alter Ego, right? You are going to put Thwart out there, but you have a hefty 2 Thwart. You can easily get to a lot of Thwart using Leader of the Guardians, and you're going to have a ton of allies to help you thwart. So don't be afraid to use it. This lets you use your Smooth Talker ability, so if you happen to, on a redeck shuffle, draw into a Digging Deep, you can set it up. Put it on the top of your deck and get a call for aid. It helps you avoid big hits, right? Sometimes you end up with 4 encounter cards in front of you, you don't have your helmet out, and you're at 1 hit point. Time to go to bed and take a nap. Just let those encounter cards surge for a little bit. You're going to, go through half the villain deck, but at the end you can pop back up and probably finish the villain off. And if you don't have the helmet out, this can help you build your hand size, right? Like get a couple extra cards in your hand, put the right cards into your deck. It can be really strong. With this deck in particular, and I think this is probably true in most decks, always know where your combo pieces are. And in that case, it's our Digging Deeps, our White Fox, and then our 3 Call for Aids and Caliban to a lesser extent, but you also want to know where those are. Because you have no Avengers ally, you know what the outcome is going to be when you play a Digging Deep. So you know, should I reset my deck? My Digging Deeps are in my discard pile, I want to get them back in my deck. Or maybe I'm only 1 turn away, so it's not worth getting that extra encounter card. I can stall for a turn and let those shuffle themselves back in naturally. So you're going to want to plan 1 turn ahead, know what's going to happen on your next turn, right? If you play 2 Call for Aids, the first one's going to get your 3 Digging Deeps and White Fox. The second one's going to get you nothing but resetting your deck. And you don't want to reset your deck until the 3 Digging Deeps and White Fox are in your discard pile. So you're going to want to make sure you're getting those cards into your deck on every shuffle. And the last thing, this is another general hint for all champions playing, be prepared for lethal. Right? A lot of times I see games go on 2 to 3 turns longer than they needed to because the person didn't math out the lethal. And I hate using the phrase math it out. Calculate your victory, right? If you're 9 points away from winning and you can do 8 in your hand and you're also going to draw 3 cards, that might be a risk worth taking in this deck. If you can only do 2, maybe not, right? So know how close you are to lethal. This works in solo, this works in multiplayer. A lot of times teams are a turn closer than they think they are, and by pushing themselves out an extra turn, they have more things to deal with rather than defeating the villain. So be prepared for lethal. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the Mulligan. This is the trickiest part of this deck. It's a very, very sword edge to walk. You want to be able to play 2 to 3 deck cycles, so 2 to 3 Call for Aid and Calibrans in that first turn. That way you get all your Digging Deeps, you reset your deck, you get a second set of Digging Deeps, and you get to do a giant sliding shot. That's if you're going for a bursty game. And the worst thing you want to do is mulligan really hard for those Call for Aids and draw all your Digging Deeps. Because now they're not in your deck for when you play Call for Aid. You're setting yourself further back. So you don't want to mulligan too hard if you're going for a bursty game. If you get 2 to 3 deck resets, or maybe even 1, you potentially keep it and let it play out for a couple turns. For longer games, if you want to do more setup, you really want to push hard for Helmet and for Nowhere. Once you get Helmet and Nowhere out, now playing a playing a Call for Aid not only nets you 3 Digging Deeps and an ally, it nets you a card draw from Nowhere. It nets you another card draw from Helmet, so all of a sudden that card becomes 5 resources worth of value plus an ally instead of 3 resources plus an ally, in case that wasn't enough. You can plan to use Call for Aid later in the game to reset your deck, so if you're going to play setup for a couple turns, maybe you're playing against Morlock Siege, and you have those 3 turns to set up. You can, get set up so that your combo is even more explosive. Get your superpower training out of the way. Get Leader to the Guardians out there. Get your Helmet out there. And then use Call for Aid to reset your deck, and the next turn it's almost like you're starting the game fresh, but with all the right things on the board. So use your mulligan wisely, but now let's get to some gameplay videos. Hey everybody, let's try out this Star-Lord Digging Deep deck. We'll see exactly how it goes here. Looks like I accidentally placed an extra bomb scare. To start with, we're going to go up against standard Rhino and just see how fast this deck could go. And then we'll do one matchup against some kind of next evolution scenario. So we're shuffling everything up, and we're ready to go. So we have 0 threat on the break-in. Rhino's here at 14. We're going to see just how fast this deck can be, hopefully. So we got a Caliban, which is one of the things we want. We have to assess the situation, so we can set up a really big turn 2, and we could get multiple allies. We could get Caliban, our gun, and that out. That seems like a pretty good opening turn for us. So we're going to move on here and just keep our full hand, which is a little odd for us. We get to go ahead and search for an element gun. So let's throw that into our hand here. And we're going to flip over here to Star-Lord's side and take an encounter card to play element gun. Next, we're going to play 2 copies of Assess the Situation. That's going to increase our hand size to 7. And then I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, I'm a liar. Let's put this back. Let's pretend we haven't played element gun yet. I think we're going to play Caliban with that instead. So we've played our 2 Assess the Situation, so that means our hand size is up to 7. We're going to play Caliban, who's going to look for an X-Force, X-Factor, or X-Men ally. Joke's on him, there are none. So we're going to get 3 copies of Digging Deep into our deck, and 1 copy of White Fox into play. We're going to put our deck into our discard pile, giving ourselves an encounter card, and we're going to flip over and shuffle a Rooney. That's a much better initial setup. So we're going to go ahead here and play all 3 copies of Digging Deep to play... I think we're going to play Gamora. Gamora will attack, and then she's going to discard cards at the top of her deck until we discard an event and add that event to hand. Could be a while. We don't have a ton of events in this deck. There we go. A Daring Escape. And we're still going a little bit crazy here. Gamora's going to get her consequential damage. We don't really need 3 encounter cards yet, but we have more than enough allies to absorb what's going on. So I think we're going to pay these 3 right here for an element gun, so we're set up for sliding shots in future turns. White Fox can punch for 1, and Caliban can punch for 2, and Star-Lord can punch for 2. Pretty good opening turn for us. So, the only thing that could have been better is if one of these things was Star-Lord's helmet instead, because then we'd have a really big hand size. But we're going to ready everything up. We're going to draw 7 cards, because those 2 assess the situations. And we did get 1 call for 8. Good. So we're going to be able to reset our deck, and then draw some cards with Nick, which is good. So the villain's going to go. They're going to get 1 threat. Rhino is going to attack us for 2+ something, and Caliban is here to block that. Actually, yeah, we'll block with White Fox first. So 2 attack, 3, 4 attack into White Fox, which is going to get them into our discard pile, which is exactly where we want them. Then we're going to have 3 nasty encounter cards to deal with. The first one heals Rhino. No big deal. We did some damage, he healed it back up. The next one is going to deal 1 damage to each hero. And then Rhino is going to get even buffer. Totally fine with us. So now we've got to figure out exactly what we want to do here. I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call for aid. This is going to find us nothing in the encounter deck, because all those cards were in our discard pile. But it is going to get us an encounter card and reset our deck. Next, we're going to use Star-Lord's ability to deal ourselves an encounter card to reduce the cost of Nick Fury by 3. So we only have to pay 1 for him, and we're going to pay with our jet boots. Are we? We're going to pay with a Blaze of Glory. And that's going to draw us 3 cards. We were hoping for a call for aid there. We didn't quite get it, but that's okay. We've still got lots of good things we can do. Let's go ahead and pitch a... Do we Blaze of Glory this turn and just go crazy? Probably not. Let's pitch... that's a real big sliding shot. That's tempting. You know what? Let's go ahead and attack with Gamora. She's going to attack Rhino for 2, and then discard cards looking for an event. We find a gutsy move right away. She's at 2. We've got a lot of things in our hand. I would love to last stand with someone. Getting rid of Caliban would probably be a good idea. If we're going to do that, should be Blaze of Glory. I think right now Sliding Shot does 9 damage, so that's something we should definitely do. So let's use Blaze of Glory, Adrenaline Rush, and Gutsy moves to play Sliding Shot. That's going to punch for 9. Just push Rhino into the next phase. Keep in mind, we're in turn 2 right now, so that's pretty good. We've now got a Breakin' and Taken in play, meaning even more encounter card goodness if we don't get rid of that. Rhino's back up to 15 health, and I don't think we quite have enough to take him out this turn, although it's possible still. How could we do that? If we had held on to Blaze of Glory, we could have played it for 2. 1-2, and it would have been that card. That would have put Star-Lord up to 4, Caliban up to 4, Nick Fury up to 4, which is 12 plus a last stand. So we did have it in our hand. We're going to do what we can with what we've done to ourselves, though. So we will have Caliban last stand for 5. Star-Lord will definitely punch for 2, and Nick will definitely punch for 2. I think we're going to pitch a Jet Boots to do 3 more, and we'll assess the situation and discard nowhere. So we're going to draw 6 cards. Caliban last standed, and Nick has 1 on him. Drawing 6, Rhino's going to get 1 threat. He's going to come swinging at us for a really big number. That number is 4 plus something, but Nick is here for it. 4, 5, 6 into Nick Fury. Not a big deal for us. Shocker's going to attack us. I'll just take the 2. And then we're going to have 4 nasty encounter cards to deal with. So let's start over here. We've got a Guard Mercenary. Rhino's going to gain Tough. Oh no. We don't have Piercing or anything. Stampede. Rhino's going to attack you if a character is damaged by this attack, stun that character. So we're going to have Gamora block this one for us. She does it excellently. Superbly even. And we've got a charge. So we've got to get rid of him this turn. There's not many other options for us here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call for aid. That's going to find us 3 copies of Digging Deep. 1, 2. Oh, and 1's in our hand. What a bummer. What a bummer. Put our discard pile into our deck into our discard pile and get us an encounter card. We still got 2 resources off of that. That's not so bad. At this point, we just got to get rid of this guard minion, so we can use one of those Digging Deeps to deal 3 to this mercenary. We can swing in and remove Tough, and then we can do a big old giant sliding shot for 7 to finish him off. Turn 3 win. Pretty easy, not too bad at all. So next, I'm going to load up a next evolution scenario. Probably, maybe the first scenario with the Morlocks and the knock-knock counters, and we'll see just how fast Star-Lord can go against newer villain content. Hey everybody, we're back again, here up against Morlock Siege on Standard. Again, we're playing Standard. I've been playing a lot of Standard recently, and I really enjoy it. And we're using this Star-Lord deck that is going to try to dig real deep and do a lot of nasty damage. So we're going up against Morlock Siege with the recommended modular sets. So we have our routed environment in play, so we need to get 3 villains tucked underneath there in order to win. We've set aside Hyde and our Morlock allies thanks to Hitch's mod. And we're going to shuffle the villain deck here with my eyes closed. What do we get? A Greycrow. Great. My least favorite enemy ever. Okay, that's totally fine, because we have an awesome deck that's going to do a lot of things real fast. And we did get a call for aid right away. We also got a sliding shot and our element gun, so we have a chance to just go bonkers. I think we can actually defeat Greycrow turn 1, which we're probably going to do. Alright, so let us begin. We are going to flip up. We're not even going to mulligan, because we only want one of, well, we would love another call for aid, but we don't want to accidentally draw into a Digging Deep. That stops our 9 damage round 1 shenanigans. So we're going to do this right away. We're going to play call for aid, and I think it actually sits in limbo until I reshuffle my deck. I should be, oh sorry, I'm supposed to put a gun into my hand. We'll do that. We're going to grab our 3 copies of Digging Deep, and we're going to throw our White Fox onto the board. 1, 2, 3, White Fox onto the board. Call for aid ends up in our discard pile, and we're given a lovely encounter card as a reward. and then we get to reshuffle our deck. So you can see, pretty explosive start. We're going to take another encounter card to play our element gun. So we're now up to 9 damage if we were to use this sliding shot, which, you know what? I think we'll do. Sliding shot for 9. Seems pretty good. So Grey Crow is gone, and they're going to go under-routed. We're still on turn 1. Pretty crazy. After stalling up 1, put a knock-knock counter out here. That's right. Okay. The villain activates against each player in player order. So we're going to get attacked by Riptide. Place 2 threat on the main scheme and 1 threat on each side scheme. Or give them +2 attack. You know what? I think I'll take the +2 attack. So I'm going to take 3 damage to face. That's not so bad. It's our go again. We've got to do 9 damage. And we can almost do it. I think we can do it this round. Oh my goodness. I mean, is there a reason not to? Let's go ahead and play Blaze of Glory. It's going to give us +2/+2 on both of our characters. And we'll swing for 4, 5, 6, 7. Taking a damage on White Fox. And then we'll pitch this to our element gun to do the last 3. Which is going to put this guy also under-rooted. And Blockbuster's going to attack us. We're going to let him have a tough status card. G-shucks. And we're going to get hit for 2, 3. So that's round 1. We're doing pretty good here. We're going to end our turn. We'll get 1 threat on the main scheme and 1 knock-knock counter. Blockbuster's going to attack us. We have to choose the +2 attack because he already has a tough card. So he's going to swing for 4 into White Fox. And actually, we took a damage from Blaze of Glory as well. Don't let me forget that. So White Fox is gone. White Fox is gone for this world. So now this is a little bit risky. If we get any extra attacks here... Oh, I should draw my hand, huh? I have 5 cards in my hand. We probably have enough to get rid of him here, too. So, assuming we can live. 3 encounter cards. We've got a Shadow of the Past. That can only be great. Good thing we've already dealt encounter cards for this turn. We've got, and what does this do? The first treachery card the engaged player reveals each villain phase. So I think we're fine. Discard cards from the encounter deck until a Marauder minion is discarded. Put that minion in play, engage with you. Okay, we can do that. As long as they don't have guard. Balls. Okay. And a back to action. Give the villain a tough status card. Place threat in the main scheme equal to the number of villains under routed. Okay. Can we do 4 plus piercing plus 11? I have my doubts. Let's see. We could take an encounter card and use Nova Prime, paying 2, in order to get rid of the guard minion. That wouldn't be too bad. Then we'd have 5 damage we could throw at the villain. 6, 7, 8 damage we could throw at the villain, and we could pierce. I think we can do it. So let's take an encounter card. This is a little bit insano. We're going to pay 2 with Blaze of Glory and call for aid for Nova Prime. He's going to discard a non-elite minion. Goodbye, Vertigo. We're then going to piercing to remove tough and hit for 3. We will last stand with Nova Prime to swing for 6. And Star-Lord will finish it off for 2. Bingo bango. Marauder's defeated. So, this deck is really fast. It's a little bit dangerous, right? Like, I was going to have to thwart and flip down that turn if I didn't have the exact 11 to defeat the villain. But you can imagine being super bursty in multiplayer and then, like, creating some chaos that the team gets to deal with. It can be super fun. And it doesn't end there. So next in the video, we're going to talk about how you can use this White Fox and Digging Deep package with almost any hero in Marvel Champions. Alright, those two games were pretty fun, and they showed off how fast and brutal this combo can be. But maybe Star-Lord's not for you. Maybe you're a little more risk-adverse. You're not jumping into the stock market with Star-Lord crazy shenanigans right now. First, this deck might not be for you. There is going to be a lot of risk in this deck, but hopefully the reward offsets it, right? By running the Call for Aid, giving yourself an encounter card, you're giving yourself an ally and a 3-resource boost. Your goal is that that offsets whatever encounter card you bring. You are going to take losses with this deck. Sometimes you're going to deal yourself 2 advances, and the threat threshold does not allow for that. Star-Lord loves those extra encounter cards, but not every hero does, especially before they're set up. But I do think that this combo can be useful with other heroes with small tweaks. So let's go over a couple of those other heroes you might run this in that don't always depend on so much encounter card and volatility. So I think there's 5 types of heroes, 5 types of heroes that really like this card, or this really combo of running Call for Aid, Digging Deeps, and White Fox. I think it's heroes that like to reset their deck. Maybe you're designing your deck to be super thin and keep drawing a specific key card, like Black Panther from the core set wanting to shuffle Wakanda Forever's back into his deck, or Iron Man to be able to shuffle those repulsor blasts back into your deck once you're mostly wild resources. Now the wilds from Digging Deep might actually hurt that, but I think it is a cute way to shuffle cards from your discard pile back into your deck. There's also heroes that thrive once they're set up, but they take a lot of things on the board to get set up. So getting that giant resource surge at the start of the game with an ally to chump block for you can really be advantageous. So Miss Marvel, Quicksilver, and many other heroes love having that set up. And in a similar fashion, some of those heroes, and then some others, really get the most benefit, or they get the biggest bang for the buck in their hero kit once they have a big combo set up. I'm thinking of characters like Quicksilver or Ghost Spider or Venom, where they just do a million triggers on their turn and do a bunch of things. Rocket might be another good example of that. So if you're a hero that thrives off having an epic combo, playing this mid-game is going to help you seed that epic combo if you were just 1 resource short. Heroes that like wilds or resource matching, so I'm thinking of Nova, Captain America to make sure you have those physicals, and many others could take an advantage of this. And then heroes who like things in their discard pile, right? Miss Marvel, Iron Man, Rocket, they love having things in their discard pile so they can manipulate them with a mirror and things like that. Now, some of these you're going to have to make tweaks with, right? If you want things in your discard pile, reshuffling your deck every turn with Miss Marvel isn't going to help you. But if you seed your deck with 2 Avengers allies, so half your discard pile on average ends up being discarded every time you play it, you're always going to seed your discard pile with ideas and things to grab for a mirror. I think that can be a really fun way, and with a mirror, you can even stack that Avenger on the bottom of your deck so you know you're getting full value from your Call for Aid. So, I think ultimately there's a lot of different heroes that can take advantage of this. I think just like player side schemes have kind of like opened up Marvel Champions into a new era where everyone has an upgrade tutor and all sorts of things. I think Digging Deep and Call for Aid is also another little mini new era of Marvel Champions. I think every hero can use it differently, right? Thinking of my favorite hero, Hawkeye, right? He's got an Avenger in his kit, so you might think, oh, well, this combo doesn't work for him. But if I can play a Call for Aid and guarantee Mockingbird turn 1, and then have no more Avengers in my deck, but be able to reshuffle arrows in every turn, and be able to pump myself up with 3 extra resources to set up all my expert marksmans and my quiver and things like that, it seems like it could be a game changer. So I think that Digging Deep, Call for Aid, and White Fox are really going to explode the game of Marvel Champions, and I hope you try out a hero with this combo as well. Let me know how it goes in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.